Hello fellow cyborgs and welcome to a reading vlog. This is for the Avatar The Last Page Turner Readathon. So I will be updating you not only on my elemental reading choices but also my journey to actually watching Avatar The Last Airbender. So as far as reading goes, I will be starting with Small Island. I've decided to read this over the 2 weeks is my plan, and I have to read at least 4 chapters a day, so we'll see if that happens today. I have a social day, so I don't have as much reading time, but we'll just see what happens. And then I also thought that I would pick up There by Tommy Orange. So this is my fire pick, and I also felt like kind of shaking things up. I've been reading a lot of historical fiction recently, specifically by Black authors, and so I thought mixing in a contemporary written by not a Black author, but still an author of color would be kind of like a palate cleanser. So that's my plan. And then I also have the short story collection Happiness Like Water that I'm hoping to read roughly a story a day. I think there's 11 stories in here, but I could be wrong, so there's a few days where I can skip, but maybe I'll start this today. And then as far as Avatar, the television program, I haven't started watching it yet, and I thought that I might tell you what I think I know about it before going in, and then we can see if I'm right at all. I have seen a couple episodes here and there when I was babysitting or whatever, so from what I understand, I believe this is Japanese inspired, but I know practically nothing about the difference between Asian cultures, so that's just probably a blanket, mildly racist sort of statement. So in this world, there are some people who can control elemental magic, or is it all people? I think it's some people, and I'm not sure if this is a problem or not. I don't know. Aang is our main character, and he's the Avatar, who is someone who can control all of the elements, but he's really young, and I have a feeling, are they always that young? There's something wrong with Aang's path toward Avatarness. Like, there's something unorthodox about it. He has a flying bison falcor-esque creature named Appa, and he ends up finding friendship with a young woman and her older brother who are part of the Water Nation, and I think the girl has elemental abilities. The Fire Nation is like the warlordy nation, and I get huge like samurai vibes from them. The main character from the Fire Nation that we care about is Prince Zuko, who has a scar over one of his eyes and is very hot, literally and figuratively. And so I think he's like the main conflict, though I have a feeling he becomes more of a sympathetic character, not only to the audience but also to Aang. And I'm assuming that an overarching plotline has to do with peace between the nations and Aang coming into his full like powers. So that's what I think I know about Avatar. So when next you see me, I will have an update on the books that I have read, or the pages, and the episodes that I have watched. He's a kitty. He was having a nap, and now he's not having a nap. Hi there. So Kitty and I just wanted to check in with how I've been doing with my reading. So I've been a little distracted lately, having a hard time focusing, so I haven't met all of my reading goals, but I have read a bit more today than the last 2 days. I just caught up with my daily reading goal of Small Island. So far I'm quite enjoying this. My physical copy has a stiff spine, which is making it kind of physically taxing to read, but not the end of the world. I really enjoy the writing style and how Levy is able to capture the dialect of the Jamaican characters without it being like too hard to read, but just giving a flavor of how they would sound. So I'm enjoying that one for sure. It's interesting seeing the perspective of America, and specifically our Jim Crow laws, from a Jamaican who's part of the British Empire, which is kind of interesting to get an outsider's perspective on my country. I don't know what she's doing, but she's cute. And then yesterday I read about 40 some pages in There. That was like the prologue and 2 perspectives. In the first perspective, it looks like a character is going to have a hand in bringing weapons to this Oakland powwow, which is where all of the characters are going to converge. So that kind of is something that I'm keeping in the back of my head that will probably come as a surprise if I don't remember this tidbit of information. I was really impressed with the prologue, which kind of outlines in very succinct form the history of oppression and erasure of the Native Americans in America. And I also really liked hearing about the idea of the urban Indian. So Native Americans who have never grown up tied to a land, so to speak, but have lived in cities. Just the disconnect between perhaps a more like stereotypical version of their heritage and what's actually available to them, but still feeling connected to the land, even if it's a manufactured sort of land. So that's kind of an interesting idea. I like it so far. And then as far as Avatar, the TV series, today I watched 4 episodes so far, and I'll probably watch a few more later. I'm enjoying it for sure. There are a number of things that I got right in my suppositions, and I actually think that I've seen these first couple episodes before. There are very familiar things in each of them, which I'm just wondering like when that happened. I'm interested to hear more about how Prince Zuko has been exiled, even though he is, you know, the prince to the Fire Nation. I am a little bit wary of Aang though. There are some things that he's doing that kind of annoy me. It's very apparent that he is attracted to Katara. I'll find out eventually. And he is 12, and I get it, and it's played for laughs a lot of the time, but I think it's sometimes a little bit too overboard, and also a little bit uncomfortable if you're thinking about the idea that she's not encouraging him, but she has no recourse to get him to stop kind of making moon eyes at her. Nothing like ridiculous has happened yet, obviously, but I'm just kind of, you know, aware of that. And the other thing is his childhood pleasure in making pit stops on their way to the Arctic Circle to do fun things that he's always wanted to do, which, you know, as a 12-year-old who has access to a flying bison, I could see why he would be doing that. But, you know, Katara, I think it's Katara, she needs to be trained in water bending, not water magic. And so does Aang, and he's like the only hope left for reducing the Fire Nation back in its territory expansion and murderousness. So a part of me is just thinking that even though Aang is 12 and has just woken up from being in an ice bubble for 100 years, that he should be aware of the stakes. And it doesn't really seem like he is. I did really enjoy meeting a Earth tribe? It's Water Tribe, Air Nomads, Fire Nation, Earth Enclave, and the warriors were all female. That was really cool. So props to that. So hopefully I will read more in there and maybe get started on the short story collection that I'm planning on reading, but I will definitely probably make time to watch more episodes of the show. So until next time, Comfy Kitty says bye. Hello. So update for you, I have finished There by Tommy Orange, and I don't really know how I feel about the ending, which was ambiguous. But overall, I really enjoyed this, and it definitely made me want to read more Native authors because I know so little, and America sucks so hard. Easy read for the topic at hand. It's a little bit about Native struggle, but then also just about people and their messy lives. It was a fairly fast read. The chapters are really short, you switch perspectives, and there is even a character list included at the beginning so that if you forget who somebody is, you can read that and figure out who they are. So much appreciated that, and I much appreciated this. I think I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 stars. So now that I finished a book, I decided to pick up Full Cicada Moon by Marilyn Hilton. I'm hoping to just power through this in much less than a week. I've been not hitting my daily page or chapter goals for any of my reading with this readathon so far, but also that is a self-imposed thing that I feel is just adding stress to my life. I am already 30-ish pages into this, and I'm enjoying it so far. It's a really fast read because the formatting makes it so there's not a lot of text on the page. However, I'm kind of left wondering, like, what's the difference between a novel told in verse when it's free-form verse versus it just a normal novel? So far, I'm not really feeling the poetry. I'm not sure that it's necessary. I'm not sure that it's justified considering that the character isn't into poetry. And at this point, I'm just kind of wondering, like, was it written in poetry? Or was it written and then they decided to format it this way so that it would be longer? But apart from those conspiracy theories, I'm also 3 stories into the short story collection Happiness Like Water, and I feel nothing, unfortunately. There's 10 total stories, and In the second story, there's a marital rape scene, and I was reading it realizing that I literally felt nothing. Most of the time, I feel sick to my stomach or like anxious or just something negative is normally what I feel. I mean, why would I feel anything positive? And I was reading it and just like literally had nothing, just nothing, no reaction at all. So I think maybe the characterization isn't like making me sympathize with the characters as quick as I need to for this short story. I also don't necessarily think that these short stories are ending with a point that is obvious enough for me to fully enjoy. I'll keep reading for sure, but yeah, I'm just kind of side-eyeing this at this point. And then Small Island I'm enjoying. However, the spine is so stiff that it is physically difficult to read this book. So I've been wrenching at the spine and creasing the spine to make it readable, and I still just find myself side-eyeing it because it's physically not an easy reading experience. The story is delightful. I'm enjoying in turns being sympathetic and unsympathetic to each of these characters, and I'm also finding it very interesting to learn more about the racism in the military. Specifically, overtly, it's the American GIs, the American white GIs against the American black GIs. However, it's also in the Royal Air Force, the RAF as well, which is what one of the characters, Gilbert, is a part of during World War II. So, learning stuff, a little depressing, but learning stuff. And then as far as Avatar: The Last Airbender, I have only watched one more episode since last chatting with you. I've been finding in my mind the idea of watching the episodes, which I do on my own, kind of difficult to justify when I haven't met my reading goals. I have a really wonderful ability to make myself feel guilt and pressure over practically anything. So consequently, I haven't been binge watching as my original intention was. And my opinions of the show haven't quite changed very much. I've only watched one more 20-minute episode since I last chatted to you. So unless that was like an amazing episode, chances are it wouldn't. One thing I learned is that it's Earth Kingdom. Fire Nation, Earth Kingdom, Air Nomads, and Water Tribes. But I still have hopes for myself that I will watch more episodes. That's still definitely my intention. I am nearly positive that I won't be able to get through all 3 seasons in the next week. However, I am hopeful that I will at least finish season 1 before the readathon ends. So we will just see how well I'm able to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off here to end week 1 so the vlog doesn't get too long. Thank you for watching, and until next time, continue to be lovely.